been a while since this has been up here. There we are. Just a little bit of tweaking. There we go. Welcome back to the usual camera. At least this one's on tripod that I can fix. Also, I think it's a little less blurry than the other camera. You disgust me. We'll talk again when I want to play Pocket Mortys. Anyway, time for our usual weekly roundup of quick things going on with the channel, as well as the big topic for today. So, Warcraft just finished this week, so for those of you who have been maybe waiting to see the entire Let's Play of the entire original Warcraft, it's done. It's there. I'll even be advertising it in a couple places just to make sure that people know about it and it gets out there to all the fans who probably would want to see this. Warcraft 2 is not going to happen right away. There's already one Let's Play in the works right now, and I kind of have an idea of what I want to do possibly after that, but as to how detailed it's going to get, we'll have to wait and see. Other than that, I also just found out today that there is a Battle of the Dews going on yet again. We haven't had one of these in, like, I'm going to say close to almost 10 years. Back when we had the weird white one that, to be honest, is kind of petered out and nobody really wants because it was ironically picked. I don't think people actually voted for it. It's easier to vote by your actual purchases, so they also brought up two of the best flavors that Mountain Dew currently produces on a more or less seasonal basis. We got Pitch Black, and we also got Baja Blast. Honestly, in my opinion, both of these flavors are fantastic. I love both of them. Either of them could win. I almost hope that both of them would win, but that's not going to happen, so we'll have to wait and see how this goes. Would also add, while we were out, don't get to have the fancy glass bottle stuff very often, but here's a little Douchine. Delicious. But yeah, I'll be bouncing out of the windows this week because I haven't had this much concentrated caffeination in the house in probably the better part of 5 years. Outside of Mountain Dew remind me that it's its bitch, I would also add that next week is the final episode of the original Ghost Rider run. So Ghost Rider Vlog is having its inaugural final finale of the original Ghost Rider. So hope you'll join in for that, and I also have a message for you guys, if any of you fans are still out there, for the week preceding that. But that all will come in the next couple weeks. Other than that, I guess it is time to finally talk about the main topic I wanted to cover over today, which is gaming companies doing some strange things, and a few of them getting explanations. The one video game company that finally has a pseudo-explanation is Nintendo. As everyone could tell, the whole Amiibo thing still frequently gets a lot of attention because we still frequently, in the United States, run out. Now, yes, they do not put out a whole lot of them all at once, because technically any kind of press is good press because you're constantly getting reminded that these things exist and that certain numbers of us would like to continue collecting them. But here's the thing, though. So they do this in certain numbers and get news about how they're running out constantly in order to keep your attention. At the same time, though, what they're also doing is they're keeping the Amiibos at a very low price point, because otherwise, with how much they sell out, they could easily put these things at like $40, which is ludicrous for these little tiny statues. Like this. I actually only have two of them so far, like Santa's here. For little tiny statues like this, they could easily probably run us at least about $40 per one. Thing is, they keep putting them at like 20 to 25. I think that's how they... Actually, I think they're closer to 20, as I recall. I mean, essentially, it's just a nice little plastic figure, and the little stand here happens to have a computer chip, which allows you to do things with your games. Make, essentially, downloadable content that's free for everyone as long as you have the little statuette that actually unlocks it. Which reminds me, I want to get the new 3DS still. I'm not going to bother with the Wii U, but the new 3DS, oh, please. I need this. If anything Nintendo's done right by me and still does right by me is that they actually do their handhelds really well. So that's the main reason why, other than having a little cool statuette of Samus and Link right now, that's pretty much the only other reason I have to collect them, other than the fact that they are starting to mine the top of my desk here. So what they're doing in the long run is essentially reassuring us that despite the fact that there's going to be such high demand, they will never actually raise the price and make it impossible for us to get them, because kids can afford these. If they really wanted to save up their little pennies and dimes for a couple of weeks, they could potentially afford these. Admittedly, I think, yeah, even as a kid in grade school, I got like maybe $5 a week to take around the garbage cans. I could have easily saved up for one of those in about a month. So, that aside, Nintendo's doing... We finally figured... It's not for sure what Nintendo's doing. It's just from the idea from the game theory people, and to be honest, it sounds like a very solid theory. It's essentially reassuring us that if we wait patiently enough, eventually we'll find everything we're looking for, and that we don't have to pay out the ass in order to get these things, just wait for them to come back into stock. Poke around at your local stores, make sure that they actually order some, you know? They can still do it. So other than that, Sony has released their crazy new PlayStation, and I have to agree with Toll Biscuit and the others. This more recent run of the this new console age that came out with Xbox One, Wii U, and PlayStation 4 didn't look all that much bigger than PlayStation 3 did. And to be honest, people keep trying to push the envelope, and every time they push the envelope, it turns out to be really kinda... There's a lot of games only for PlayStation, a lot of games only for Xbox, and almost all of them are really, really not that good. Except for maybe a couple of them, and even then, kind of middle of the road. And actually, the lot of the better ones, if you want them, especially for the Xbox, they're on PC, where they run properly. As a matter of fact, apparently there's been news that Sony's planning to do that to some of their own properties as well, as try and find a way to put them into a decent PC port and put them out there so that we can all play them on something else other than just PlayStation 4, because locked at 30. And here's the thing about computers and computer games, guys. As much as I would love to own a system and have something that I can just insert the disc into and let it play like the good old days, the PlayStation 2 is kind of gone, guys. There's going to be shitloads of patches. They will still pull out truckloads of DLC up the ass. There's really not a lot of really good reasons to do any of the modern systems, especially when you can take a computer like mine here, and for maybe $100, if you have it, like every other month or so, add something new to it that will greatly improve its power and its speed, and allow you to actually have a gaming computer before too terribly long, if you shop around for the right parts that actually mesh with one another. There's a little bit of need to know, but that's the kind of stuff that if you actually have people who are knowledgeable and actually even do a little bit of computer science here and there, you can easily find out people who actually can tell you and lead you in the right direction as to what will actually work with your system and help you improve it. I mean, this computer had a dead graphics card since early last year in February. Only in the last couple of months have I actually finally gotten it fixed. This computer now, despite being, I think, 3 to 5 years old now, let me do the math really quick. Yeah, it's bordering on about almost 5 years now. This computer can run Shadow of Mordor. Not perfectly, mind you, but I can lower the settings just slightly, and it'll look great still, and it'll run at 60 frames per second. And even better yet, I don't have to rely on a keyboard and mouse. This thing is hooked up by USB right to the front of my computer, and I can play Shadow of Mordor on an Xbox controller. a matter of fact, I can play my emulators if I actually own the games, like my NES collection over there. I can just use that or my Logitech controller and emulate a game properly and have it really nice on the screen and even record it for you without having to get one of those capture cards. Which technically, last time I heard, they're still in the gray area, but you are technically allowed to get them if you want to record your footage and so forth. But I don't stream enough to actually make it warranted, and like I mentioned before, a lot of stuff is coming over from PlayStation, Xbox to the computer, so if I really want, I'll save up for it eventually or find a Humble Bundle or something. Speaking of companies and hardware, speaking of porting over games to different systems, GameStop has made its own company now that will help produce more video games. As a matter of fact, they apparently just saved one that was in the middle of development, but suddenly the funders pulled out. They have stepped in and saved it, and apparently, according to Jesse Cox, it's looking pretty good. So, GameStop, while I admired their tenacity to try and keep a solid storefront for all their things that they do, let's face facts, they really don't do it very well. If I was to actually pick a company, essentially a pre-owned store for video games, my preferred company to go to would be Preplayed. Preplayed, by the way, if you take your video games, your movies, your records, your CDs, they will buy them off of you and give you half the price of what they will be on the shelf. And they are still a highly functioning business. As a matter of fact, I used to always go to the one on the west side of Madison, and now there's one on the east side as well. There's two of them. They are a growing chain now, and they're doing really well for themselves, apparently. So, look them up. Look up if you got Preplayed anywhere near you, because they are far more worth it than GameStop is. But that's mostly just the Wisconsin area that I'm aware of. But at the same time, I'm happy that GameStop has finally gotten the idea across that maybe the storefront might be a good idea to actually hold some sort of business and help promote what is going to be eventually the big thing, which is actually helping to produce these independent games that would otherwise probably end up canceled and never see the light of day, despite how good they might be. So here's hoping that GameStop continues to be a nice place to actually help produce games as well as sell them. And I'm not saying that I don't mind buying them from there, but I'm telling you flat out that I wouldn't sell them there because you're not getting your money's worth. And by the way, guys who sell sports games and buy the newest one, yeah, you're not going to get your money back on that. Sports games are way too frequently abandoned, and you're never going to get a decent price for them because so many places have to carry so many copies of this highly iterative series of franchises. They're not going to hold much water, especially if it's been like 20 years now. I'm sorry. I mean, Madden goes back to the PlayStation 1. Holy cow. That's old. And on top of this stack of all this weird gaming news is Konami. Of course, Konami's done something silly. So, what's going on here is that Konami is re-releasing the original Contra, apparently with maybe a couple of new characters, and they're putting it on mobile, which already screams of weird because getting controls right on a mobile phone is extremely hard to begin with. But then they're also going to be obviously adding microtransactions and possibly making the game free. What this kind of screams of to me is that the game is going to be extremely difficult, and I'm almost willing to bet you that they're going to force you to use microtransactions to get extra lives. And if that is the case, I want no part of this. This sounds really bad. And again, the whole trying to make mobile work with a interface like this. How? Let me just show you an example here. NES controller. Flat screen. I can feel the buttons. I can tell them and control them, command them. I can even tell I'm pushing a button here, as well as a button here, 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 here. All I can see is the back of this right now. I'm pretty sure I'm pushing the start button. I'm pretty sure I'm pushing B, and here's A. I have no idea what's going on here, and if there's even the slightest smudge on this screen, my guys will just start jumping around in circles or something. No. No, Konami. Bad Konami. Already it's going to be butchered because it's got rubbish controls, but then you're also going to be going and trying to tell me that I need to pay money for something in a game that's already, what now, 30 years old? But the fact that you're trying to combine these sloppy controls and then trying to force some form of way of making money off of it just screams of desperation. I don't care what you're doing to it, I'm not going to buy that game. You know what I am going to buy though, Konami? I'm going to buy the NES version. Because you did this, it'll actually become dirt cheap to actually get the real thing that's not going to suck ass. Where the controls actually work, and where I don't have to pay a microtransaction in order to actually play the full fucking game. Good day, Konami. And I'll see you all next time.